Try Hard is back with a new season featuring conversations with Ingrid Nielsen, Anna Sale, Rishikesh Hirway, Alexander Chi, and so many more guests. This season, we're diving into guests' try-hard moments, the big decisions, the pivots, and the leaps of faith that came to define their lives. We're talking to an OG lifestyle influencer who decided to leave her YouTube career behind, an author who chose to write the book he wanted to write instead of the one his editors wanted, and a fancy-pants business consultant who stepped off the career treadmill to do something radically different. Each of these episodes digs into the powerful stories we tell about ourselves, and what every guest has in common is that they've asked themselves the same question: what if I told a different story? Listen to Try Hard from Defector Media, wherever you get your podcasts.
From Mermaid Palace, Radiotopia, and Studio G, welcome to the heart. I'm Caitlin Prest, and this is Suburban Paradise.
For me, reflective, simple, meandering, and mundane era of my life. We begin with sound. Segment 1. With listening to the world around us. It is now going to be around you. Can you guess where I am? Do you know what time of year it is? What time of day?
Where's your plate? Almost.
Three plates. Two steaks. Two pairs.
Yep, that's yours.
One patio table. It's a barbecue. Segment 2. Diary. One diary entry from one period of time that has not been altered, shared in its most earnest, honest, and naked form.
This is the third entry for Tuesday, June 2025. Trilogy.
Just like today. June 3rd, 2025. 1 year ago now. It's June. And I read the pages from yesterday to Scott Carrier. Confusion about which notebook to use for the pages. Confusion about whether or not I should have a crush on Scott again, so that I can let the crush make it easy instead of laborious to pick up the phone. It's Tuesday, but really, it's Monday, and I had another triggering bank account failure, trying to get coffee and trying to rent a yoga mat. I woke up this morning with such self-hatred I wondered if it was a lie when I told my, quote, new therapist, unquote, that she didn't have to worry about me taking my own life after the session. In reality, today, when I illegally drove the car to a noon yoga class after popping a couple of 100-milligram mushroom pills, I looked at the thin, yellow line that separated me from certain death. The first 80-kilometer speed limit I've driven since I was 19 years old. Since I got my new, quote, learner's permit, unquote, the one that forbids me from driving on my own. As I pulled out of the driveway, I was caught red-handed by the neighbor. Dave looks inquisitively over at the car, rolling out on behalf of my parents, who he knows are traveling in Ireland right now. What if sometimes we are too defeated to see the glass half full? That's life too. That's being alive. Why are we only making good use of our lives if we're seeing the glass half full? My eyes shifting focus like a zoom lens on a camera, imagining a podcast under a pseudonym where I can just freely read my writing out loud in all of its imperfection, in all of its unfinished and unedited boringness. Werner Herzog's New York phone book. I lounge in this fancy coffee shop chair like a pile of dirty laundry lounges both in and around a laundry basket. Like the relaxed and sinking 2x4s lounge while still trying to hold up a dilapidated house in foreclosure. Condemned. A teenage boy stares straight into my eyes as I walk to the bathroom to put on mascara and more lipstick. I was watching him with his dog earlier. He noticed me noticing, and when I noticed him noticing me notice, I smiled, small, in the corner of my mouth, without looking away. I'm flattered by his direct and lingering stare, and as I pee in the cafe toilet, I ponder for a moment and come to the conclusion that, yes, 24 already felt too young, and anything younger than that is not appealing to me in any regard. Aside from a fleeting moment of fantasy that, in all truth, will not even make it, even temporarily or for a one-time try, into my spank bank. My breasts are still fucking incredible, though not as perfect as they are in the Copenhagen video from 2019. Back to the topic at hand. The thin, yellow line that separated me from certain death. I consider for a moment the sleight of hand, the micro-movement, the tiniest flicker of a self-destructive urge would be all that is required to end the battle I'm losing with my self-esteem, my sense of worthiness. I wonder if my willingness to break the rules comes from the deafening quiet of my life, or the deafening almost but not enough chaos, the unacceptable amount of chaos that moved me to buy the flight to Cairo last summer, or if it comes from the mushroom microdosing that I fear will land me in the Royal Ottawa eventually. The madhouse. Schizophrenia does run in the family, after all, and I've heard that prolonged psychedelic use can unlock it later in life. As I imagine crossing the yellow line, the reality is I've followed quite a lot of rules in my breaking of the rules. I have refrained from driving on a 400 highway. I have driven the speed limit within 5 kilometers. And when I say 5, I mean -5, not +5. I'm under-exaggerating. I wonder if 4 pages is really 3 pages if this was a regular-sized book. Really, I think I could do 6 without overpaging. A fantasy of making another to-do list. A fantasy of driving downtown to see the 40-part motet. A fantasy of taking another yoga class. A fantasy of driving to Morrisburg and getting on Joel's boat and lying there like a mermaid until the sun goes down. Fantasy of imagining the smallest version of my life. The smallest and least ambitious version. A version I could live and feel like I was doing enough. Handling everything. A version where I can work for a certain amount of time and then play for the rest. Fantasy of painting a picture of this particular strip mall parking lot. Fantasy of making some kind of message to put on the corkboard at this coffee shop. Fantasy of having the love for myself and the love for my life required to joyfully get creative about the question of how to make money, instead of shut down and free fall like Alice down the rabbit hole into a long and confusing downward spiral. Fantasy of finding the check for $1,200 USD in the mail on the way home. The fantasy of never thinking about the future again, but truly, Buddhistly living in the moment. I love my life. The yoga teacher, who just brought us through the yoga version of a Soul Cycle class, tells us to recite this as a mantra to close class. out loud or inside the mind. I say it half-heartedly out loud as everyone else in the class says it inside their minds. I try to remember what it felt like to do what I've said I'm doing, hoping that the lie will come true, like the one I told my therapist. Whether or not I kill myself is really not something I can promise or even predict. That's the reality of the situation. The times, only twice, that I really wanted to. There wasn't anything my mind could say to talk me out of it. It's a pure despair that takes over my being. I wonder if people with serious suicidal ideation should even be allowed to drive. Scott Carrier writes me back. The 24-year-old from Mexico, who is the sweetest love of 2024, calls me mi amor. I remember for a moment the way that it felt to kiss him for 3 hours on a park bench, and the way that he held my hand. Suddenly compelled to create the chapter of the self-portrait that includes my letter to him. What is that feeling I have of pure dread when thinking of doing anything at all? Maybe God keeps telling me to rest, because the next decades will be a lot, and I must first build my spiritual foundations. In every different fathomable way, God keeps telling me to rest, and in every different fathomable way, I refuse. I refuse in the most annoying way, by doing nothing but by worrying about the fact that I'm doing nothing and filling my time with worrying about the fact that I'm doing nothing instead of just enjoying doing nothing. I believe the Buddhists call that the third arrow. The third arrow. And just as I finished writing that entry, a woman approached me at the strip mall in Canada, a slightly fancier neighborhood. As she approaches, I am not sure whether she's going to ask me something that I will not be able to refuse, but that I will later regret saying yes to. I can't help it most of the time. As soon as we make eye contact, it's basically a yes. Fortunately for me, all she's asking is if my name is Caitlin Prest, and if I happen to make a podcast. And when I melt and almost start crying and tell her that I do make a podcast, I latch on to her in desperation, not because she's a fan of my work who just recognized me in the most unlikely place on the face of the earth as far as I'm concerned, but I latch on to her because she seems to be an artist and I don't have a single artist friend in this entire city, and I proceed to desperately blow up her phone for the next 3 months, while simultaneously flaking or rescheduling every single plan that we make according to calendar time. Rachel, I still want to hang out. I still want to hang out. I'm going to start trying again. I'm going to text you right after this. Okay, bye. I still live in my parents' house. It's been an entire year since June 3rd. Let's close the loop before a year goes by. The end.
Segment 3. 30 seconds of raw sound from the date of the diary entry that you heard.
Because, I mean, I've been having suicidal ideation for a really long time. I don't know, whatever, we could get into that another day, but, like, and then there was oh, right now, no. I'm really far away from, I haven't had, like, the last time I really don't feel I'm in danger of trying I don't. I know for sure that the only way I could do it if I was going to is with something that was immediate, like a gun. And I don't have a gun. And I have too many people that love me. I would think, I'm like, I can't do that to my sister. I just can't. I couldn't do it to my parents. I just can't. Like, I would need to get their consent. That's part of my plan. Part of my plan is I would have to sit them down and say, guys, the suffering you would endure for me killing myself is nothing close to the suffering I endure every day. So please allow me this. So, unless I get their consent after that convo, you don't have to worry. And I call them, and I have a phone tree. I have when I feel that way, which the last time I felt that way was in 2023. I have like 5 friends, and if one friend can't talk me off, talk me down. But really only twice did I go from a fantasy to wanting to in my life. But I've had suicidal ideation ever since I was like 8, I don't know. The answer is I'm fine. You don't have to worry. The answer is I'm okay. I'm not feeling suicidal. No, yeah. Yeah. That's it. I know, like, I'm not, like, that's why I'm saying it so flippantly. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I've definitely thought about it last week or yesterday, but, like, not, I call it level 4, where if I had the means to, I would. Level 3 is having the plan and... Yes, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Follow me on Instagram at Caitlin Prest. Donate to the Unemployed Philosophers Guild, of which I am a member. So, people have been asking, how did I become a member of the guild?
Guild propaganda.
Every member, of course, has their own story of how the apparition came upon them. There comes a moment when you know that you've received the invitation. Our founding member and eternal guild president, Frida Kahlo, makes herself appear to the member of the guild. So essentially, the way that all members become a member, plainly, it's Frida Kahlo worship. Pure and simple. It came to me in the form of a bank card replacement. Totally nonsensical. Never before has it ever happened to me this way, getting a new bank card, because my bank card, the Mermaid Palace Chase account, that's Chase Bank, evil bank, they'd cancel my card due to terms and conditions that I had violated, but that they refused to tell me specifically what term or condition was the violation I did, and they just, promptly closed my account, sent me a check, a traveler's check, I think. I was a bit depressed about this. I'm not very good at personal admin. I was imagining phone calls in my future, etc., and I just so happened to be tidying up. I was doing divorce clearing, the universally understood task of helping a friend make their home feel like theirs again. And it was here that I came upon, as I was tidying, a bank card. On the back, there was the strip in the place where you sign one's name, and on the other was the face of Frida Kahlo and a few words. The Unemployed Philosophers Guild. And I thought to myself in that moment, of course, that makes perfect sense. No true philosopher could ever maintain gainful employment for very long. Yeah, I was like, obviously, Frida Kahlo is a fucking philosopher. Right? I don't know. Every artist is a philosopher in some way, I believe. Also, probably most communists.
And that, right then and there, was the moment. I was a member. I was a member of the guild.
I will tell you how I learned the sacred knowledge of how to invite people to become members in the next episode. Credits. In the meantime, do please donate to the guild. Kahlo be with you.
Radiotopia.